Senior.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it. What's it say?
Pass.
What's that?
You have a
Senior.
senior.
Senior in the house.
She's like, how do you have a
Oh,
senior
yeah.
already? I said,
Yeah.
well, so does Peter.
How do I have a 30-year-old?
Yeah,
Maybe
she
Morris.
picked her college.
Alright, so.
Sorry, Martha, if you think I'm alright.
Who's got seniors?
I have a senior.
Both of you?
Yeah. Off they go.
Yep.
Help them too.
Yeah, just
When
let
I
them
left
go.
my house, they were doing the dorm interview thing. Gotta pick a dorm.
You teach them what you can
Oh
and then
my
you go.
God.
Don't think about it.
Alright. Gonna go, if everyone's ready-ish. It's 6:30, calling the Albany Planning Board April the 11th meeting to order. Present Sean Wadsworth,
Peter Carboni.
Kathy Golden.
Curtis Coleman.
Morris West.
and we have from the public, Mr. Rick Vanderpool. Thank you. Just a few little housekeeping things we got to do here. Morris, I'll point you as a voting member in Brian's absence. And then electing an Albany, the chair for the planning board. So we should have done this last month, but anybody want to put forth their willingness to be the chair?
I nominate Sean Wadsworth.
All right.
I second that nomination.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to appoint Sean Wadsworth as Albany Planning Board Chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
Peter second.
Peter seconds. The motion carries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And then Peter's appointment needs to happen at the planning board level. Yes. So, or reappointment.
I'll make a motion to recommend that we reappoint Peter Carboni to the planning board for another 3-year term to the Board of Selectmen.
I second.
Okay.
When did he send out that email for that zoning?
Any discussion?
Monday.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great. That was the housekeeping. We'll get to the minutes afterwards. I just want to get going on the site plan review for Tin Mountain, represented by Mr. Vanderpool. The first thing before we actually do the hearing is just that we have a completed application. I went through it and have found the application to be complete as we specified with the waivers that we specified. So if anyone wants to have time to read through this, or we can just go to voting and accepting it as complete, of course.
With the contingency on the final site plan?
With the contingency on the map, the final plat map, yes.
Flat, rather. Yeah.
Yes. This is the preliminary constitution. application checklist with the abutters. Alright. So I'll just pass this around if anyone wants to review quickly. Or if not, we can just move on.
These must be the trails that go out to the tower?
They eventually do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go on to Peter's property, Peter and Judith's property, and then head up to the tower.
Those are nice trails, yeah.
Yeah, he done a nice job.
Yeah, I've walked them.
The tower, the water tower? Or the what tower?
No, I was talking about the viewing tower.
Viewing tower,
Yeah.
yeah, on Ball Hill.
Oh, there's a viewing tower.
There was.
Oh, there
There was,
was,
yeah.
okay, there's not
It's-
anymore.
No.
Yes, okay.
He's got it open enough, there's a pretty good view.
Yeah.
The leaves are off.
Yeah, I had gone there this winter and that's why I hadn't seen the
It's been a
tower.
while since
There
I've
used to
been
be a
there.
tower.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Good drainage on those trails and so forth. At least there was, I haven't been up there in a
Oh,
while.
yeah, he's got it nicely ditched, and
Yeah,
he's got a couple of drain pipes in there.
I think Russ worked up there those years ago, I don't know who's doing it now.
And ones he's been using lately are ABC, or ABS or plastics, you know. I think some was corrugated CMP.
It's already there, already signed. I mean, it's like a last year thing.
This is the preliminary consultation, which just also Rick sent along this model of the pavilion, basically, a stick model.
Sean, we didn't dial in.
Oh yes, let's do that.
Thank you.
Maybe last time. Selectmen, I forgot.
Take it back.
So you're removing the other one that you was brought in years ago,
You want me to do it?
or is that?
It was
Oh, it's on
a
hold or
house,
something.
the Hunt House.
Oh,
which we
okay.
No,
removed.
that's-
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
one
okay.
right by the roadside there.
Yeah, but the gazebo's still there. Big gazebo's still gonna be there.
No, all the structures were unsound, so the only thing that we left really was the chimney.
Oh, okay.
So there's a chimney sticking up
And this is, just to be clear, we're not actually doing the site plan review yet, this is just
Hello,
the.
please enter
review
your
of the
six-digit
application.
conference code. Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are the host, please enter your 4-digit host code to open the conference. If you are not, press the stop. We will now connect you to your call. You are the first attendee in this conference. Your host has joined.
Is the dilapidated house already down?
there. Yeah.
Anything up there?
That's all last week, and last month.
So the abutters stuff isn't here, they all gave their okay? Or that's coming later?
That's coming later during site plan review. As far as the application goes, the applicant is required to submit the list of the abutters with the mailing addresses. And then, as the secretary, I sent out certified mail notices to all the abutters. So all the abutters have received a certified mail saying, we will be having a public hearing tonight for site plan review, so they have their opportunity to attend and speak at the public hearing. necessarily get approval, that's not part of the,
They're obviously not very concerned with it.
no one, yeah, so far it's quiet, so. And as you said, you already reached out or
Yeah,
had communicated with most of the abutters and,
Yeah, well, I think pretty much everybody but one.
yeah.
That is Andrew Leffler, Andy Leffler. I don't think
Okay.
I've personally talked to him, but everybody else we talked to.
Okay. Any questions as far as the application? Okay. I make a motion to accept the application as complete for site plan review.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, so at 6:40, we'll open the public hearing for site plan review for Tin Mountain Conservation Center, represented by Rick Vanderpool.
Rick, could you just give us an overview of
Sure.
what's being
Yeah,
planned?
we have known about the Hunt property for some time, and of course, Peter Smart has been maintaining trails on that property, came up, let us know, hey, it's probably coming up for sale. They have been absent from the house for some time, so then we talked to both the brothers, and they got their sort of okay from their sister to sell to Tin Mountain, so we purchased it as a part of our capital campaign, which started last year. We closed in December, and the idea is to create an arboretum, basically to highlight some of the native trees and shrubs in the area, and to provide American Disabilities Act ADA trail that goes down through the property, creates a loop, have 9 interpretive stops, and then what this was really kicked in by was a pavilion, an open air, no wall pavilion. Just get out of the weather classes we can bring down there, kids and so forth, and gravel floor, timber frame. So that was the idea.
Is this open to the public or just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
employees?
be open to the public. Yep, absolutely. And we, Curtis knows, we have a parking lot put in there for a few cars. And, we got that squared away. We've taken down the house, removed the hazardous waste, a lot of asbestos, cleared out the brush, cut a view. Things are coming along,
Very nice.
so,
Thank you.
yeah. well,
Okay. Alright, and we have the checklist. Alright, so our Town of Albany site plan review regulations, the review procedure, Roman numeral 6, general procedure, site plan review is presented before any construction begins. We had a preliminary consultation last meeting. Section C, submission requirements, we went through that with the checklist and the application as completed. And then section D, site plan requirements. So let me get this up on the screen, just so we can all view. Okay. So submission requirements, this is basically the checklist, well, part of the checklist that we went through, plot plan. We waived the plot plan temporarily, but there will be one submitted prior to the beginning of construction. And do you have an estimate on when?
I sent Jim Hambrook the checklist requirements for the plat, which of course he's familiar with, having done this for 30 years or so, 2 weeks ago. And he said he's wrapping up a few projects. I would expect sometime in May to have that final plan. I'm not gonna move it, nothing
Yes.
comes up.
Okay, thank you.
So I've advised the timber frame in the June would probably the earliest he can get in there.
Construction starting in June.
June,
Yes.
that's our present timeline.
Mhm. Alright, so site plan requirements, D, A, we're just gonna go through these. Make sure we're following the process. So an accurate plan, including water courses, water bodies, vegetation, topographic features, and other things. This will be part of the plat. The type and extent of existing and proposed landscaping and open space will be part of the plat. Existing and proposed topography at 2-foot contour intervals. The topography will be included. We did waive the 2-foot contour interval. It could be a coarser resolution for the scale of this project. D, soil mapping units and boundaries. E, location of all buildings within 50 feet. There are none, right? And intersecting roadways within 200 feet. It's well far from, quite a bit more than 200 feet from any roads. Location of setbacks required by the zoning ordinance will be on the plat. Again, it's quite far away from any of our setbacks. Location of zoning district boundaries. So this is in residential zone. It does have an exception under the under our ordinances for nonprofits ordinances. We referred to that in the last meeting. I could pull it
Can
up.
you repeat that again, Sean, please?
Oh, which part of our ordinances exempt nonprofits? Yes, I will just pull it up so we can just get it right in there. That's just gonna take a minute, but I can get there. Special exceptions, there it is right there. Great. Okay, so going back, we're in Roman numeral 3, land use is permitted. Letter A in the residential zone, which is what this is. Number 3, uses permitted. Oh, number 4, here it is, number 4. So Roman numeral 3, letter A, number 4, other uses permitted. The following permitted uses are subject to site plan review and approval of the planning board. Additional conditions may be imposed by the planning board to assure that the use does not violate the intent of this ordinance, is consistent with the goals established in the town's master plan and the conditions set forth in the special exceptions section of this ordinance. So this falls under letter C, community center, hall, lodge, park, or playground operated by a government unit or a nonprofit organization. So this is the part of our ordinance that would allow for this type of structure in a residential zone, as we're
Under a
reading.
special exception.
Under number 4,
It's
other
set-
uses permitted.
It says set forth in the special exceptions section, so it should be set forth in special exceptions.
Yeah, okay. Special exceptions. So we are searching for special exceptions.
Should be right next in the section.
This is a different section though, special exceptions, ZBA,
Hmm?
that's ZBA,
And ZBA.
that is not this section. Hmm.
I think if you hit Control F and type in what you're searching for, it can pull it
Sounds
up.
good. Alright, so there's the definition, exceptions. An exception is a use that would not be appropriate without any restrictions throughout a particular zone.
So that looks
Special
like it.
exceptions, a specific use of land or buildings that is permitted when clearly defined criteria and conditions as set forth in this ordinance are met. Special exceptions may be granted by the zoning board of adjustment in accordance with RSA 674-33-4. That is that definition. Here's the reference we just talked about under number 4, other uses permitted. Uses permitted. This is referencing special exceptions again. Referencing special exceptions. Zoning Board of Adjustment, special exceptions. Roman numeral 9, that's what we want. Special exceptions, Roman numeral 9, that's what we're looking for. Permits for 1, off-premise business directional sign may be granted at the discretion of the selectmen if it can be demonstrated for the business because of its location within a well-made subregion, blah, blah, blah. That's sign stuff, that is not. Use regulations, so this is the Swift River Conservation District. Aha, is this the correct part? This is still in the Swift River thing, I think. Yeah. Yes. This is part of the Swift River Conservation District special exception. Back to the top. Kathy, would you like to advise here?
I'm still looking.
The one section said to go to an RSA.
The ZBA thing.
That's like the authority of the ZBA,
If it
basically.
requires a special exception, it would require the ZBA approval, is what I'm understanding now.
Does it say that the special exception needs to be approved by the ZBA? Or does it say that this is allowed, as it were, a special exception through the planning board?
Yes, let's reread. Okay, so we were in
Page 16 of the zoning. Sorry.
3A4.
yeah. So where we're reading is Roman 3, land use is permitted. a residential zone. Number 4, other uses permitted.
It's consistent.
Go ahead. Following permitted uses are subject to site plan review and approval of the planning board.
Right.
Additional conditions may be imposed by the planning board to ensure use does not violate the intent of this ordinance, is consistent with the goals established in the town's master
So
plan.
just
and the
as-
actions
So it
set
says consistent with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't say as required for approval
Yeah.
by.
Hello.
The public meeting is open, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead, I'll
Always.
stand.
Well, there's another seat here, if you'd like. Are you good?
Yeah, let's arrange some chairs for everyone to sit, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Morris.
In compliance.
It's
Yeah.
consistent with,
And that's what we came up with last time we were here, so. And we even changed our tune. No, I don't.
yeah, I mean, to me, it's stating clearly this is other uses permitted, and it's stating fairly clearly what the other uses are, and it
Yeah.
falls into it.
So this, it's clear to me too, but it does put it into commercial use.
It does put it
Which is
into
fine.
a commercial use. It is a commercial use in a residential zone
By your nonprofit.
But
by a nonprofit.
So the only comment I have, being in a commercial use on your application, you do wanna make sure you address this, just state what the signage is gonna be, if any, and make sure you personally, or your organization, gives that information to the chief. Cause the permit requires you to supply the chief, show him that loop, or not.
Yeah, with the.
Well, wait a
trail.
second, she may be,
Is the application, so it has to have a building permit? And so I'm asking Peter, does that go directly to the fire chief first before it comes to you, or does it go to you and then to the fire chief?
the building permit goes to me first, but the application, if you read the application on page 4, there's a checklist, and one of it is supply the fire chief.
Oh.
With your plans also. He's just gonna wanna know about it, so
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's a call, he knows
Smart
it's there,
thing.
yeah.
It's a good thing to
He-
do.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they usually, I just know from experience, you wanna know if there's a signage, you wanna know.
Yeah.
just what's there.
Access and what kind of emergency vehicle access
Yep.
they can have, and absolutely.
So it's on page 4 of that application.
Remember
And if you
seeing-
want, I don't mind bringing it to him either, cause he's only there real early in the morning, but
Yeah, yeah.
you drop it off to him, he's fine
Yeah,
with it.
as soon as I get it.
So he has a copy, yeah.
Commercial application, this is what you're saying, that it's a
Yeah.
commercial application. Okay,
And, yeah, it's right on the application too, on page 4, that you have to supply the chief with that stuff.
yes. Okay. Alright. So we were back here. Site plan regulations, yes, okay. So building setbacks F, G, location of zoning district boundaries, that's where we just, were discussing. It is in residential, it is, permitted as a nonprofit. H, lot area, street frontage and zoning requirements.
I don't know.
Hello. So we're just going through an application for site plan review and a public hearing. We'll finish this up and then we'll move on to the next orders of business. Sound good? So I, location of off-street parking and loading spaces. This is, will be designated on the plot. Location and width of curbing, access and egress, this will be on the plat. Location of proposed deed restrictions, covenants, to be included on the plat. And surveyed property lines showing their deflection angles, distance, radii, have to be included. It is not a subdivision for M, so that is moot. And plan views of all buildings to be included, yes. Or no, we
I think you waived it,
waived
'cause
plan
it's
view,
not
that's right,
an enclosed
because
building.
it's pretty,
Yeah.
and elevation view, same waived. No solid waste. For PQ, the location size of signage and other advertising, would there be signage?
There will be interpretive
Interpretive
nature
signs.
trail signs,
Yeah.
that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our stormwater drainage plan, this was waived in our previous, yes.
Yeah.
S, size and location of water supply and sewage facilities, exempt. T, the size and location of existing and proposed public and private utility, there are none. U, location and type of all existing proposed lighting, there will be none. And copies of all applicable state and town approvals and permits, there are none.
Just the driveway permit.
Just the driveway permit and the building permit for the town.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes, W, all applicants will submit a set of plans to the fire chief, the board of selectmen, to discuss the provisions of life safety code as they relate. Yes, oh yes, so we did give notice to all the butters, we did post in the Conway Sun, more than 10 days prior to this public hearing. There were notices on the door and on the website. And that's it for noticing. Then it is to actual site plan standards. Okay. All right. So we have parking area shall be landscaped. Buffer zones are required. This has far more than our required buffers of 25 feet on the side and back and 100 feet from the center line. Green space shall be provided. It's entirely green space all around it. C, provisions for winter snow storage removal. I think the parking lot is
Yeah.
already been servicing and been plowed and functional in that manner. Storm drainage, that's basically natural drainage in our sandy soil. Floodplain is moot. Construction requirements,
It's not really.
not applicable. Fire protection, sewage, not applicable.
If that place is burning down, we got bigger problems.
Yes. Does not exceed 5,000 square feet. Is not in the special flood hazard zone. We discussed the permits and 5 lots or 5 acres. Yes, that does not apply. 2 does not apply. 3 does not apply. So reading through this, I'm not finding any conflicts with our site plan review requirements. I don't know if anyone else has any.
I think it looks great.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Vanderpool, anything further to present on the site plan from your point of view?
No, you will have a copy of the final plat
Okay.
as soon as I get it.
Okay. Board, anything further for Mr. Vanderpool for questions or comments or anything of the sort? Okay, hearing none. Would anyone like to make a motion?
You do.
I do.
Mhm.
I would like to make a motion to, for approval of site plan review for Tin Mountain Conservation Center on tax map 7, parcel 115, for the construction of the pavilion as presented by Mr. Vanderpool. I will write that up.
I second the motion.
Thank you. On the contingency of plat being submitted prior to construction. Yes, okay. I'm making a motion to approve the site plan review for Tin Mountain Conservation Center, map 7 lot 115. Contingent on submission of just plat,
Yeah, just the site
Site
plan.
plan, yeah.
Yeah, site plan.
site plan
Provided by, who's doing it for you?
Jim Hamburg.
Yeah.
provided by Jim Hamburg.
Hamburg.
Okay. Okay. Sean Wadsworth makes a motion to approve the site plan review for Tin Mountain Conservation Center, map 7, lot 115, contingent upon submission of site plan provided by Jim Hambrook. Peter Carboni seconds.
Yes.
I do.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Hello.
Hi.
Is this seat here? Yeah.
I got to do
No, he's leaving. He got his.
So I'm done.
He's out.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Mr.
See
Van
you
Dam.
too.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yes.
Have a good day.
Thank you. So closing the public hearing at 7:08. Good on that? Anything else? Site plan? Good. My glasses. All right. Thank you for coming. I'm Sean Wadsworth. I'm the chair of the planning board. Let's just go for introductions quickly.
Peter Carboni.
Kathy Golden.
Curtis Coleman.
Morris West.
Thank you. First on the agenda is Sierra Hopkins. Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
And sorry, remind me your name?
Ben Sweat.
Ben Sweat. Thank you. Is that correct spelling?
ETT, yep.
ETT. Okay. And it is for preliminary consultation for minor subdivision, map 9A, lot 42. Okay. Want to just describe what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
And you have some papers to pass over as well?
Yes. Paperwork, so pass them to
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, so Elaine's mother, so she owns the property. It's 10 acres off of Passaconaway Road. We're planning on taking 2 of those and subdividing, hopes of building a house there, having a family in the area. We're currently teaching at Kent High School, and so looking for a house is very difficult right now, and this is the next logical option. So we're hoping to discuss the possibility of subdividing it. Where the regulations, where the technical areas as possible. That's kind of the goal in this case.
And then just to go with the next one, Mr. Sweeney?
Yeah.
Yes, and
Kelly Terry.
pardon?
Kelly Terry.
Kelly Tag?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna get your proper spelling here, because you're really doing very similar things.
Yeah.
Um,
Off the road. Oh, yeah.
Kelly with a Y.
P-E-R-R, yeah. K-E-L-Y and then P-E-R-R.
Okay, thank you.
It's an existing. What's that? Yeah, it's existing. It must be.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
So,
the driveway to get in.
Yeah, I was just gonna pull up the map on the bigger screen here. If it's
Maybe I'll have to see some.
I didn't know it was lost. I didn't know that.
Lot 42, there it is. Okay.
There we go.
Let's zoom in.
So looking at the lot itself, so from Smith Lane, there is a right-of-way that leads onto the property itself, onto lot 42. We were hoping to have 2 acres on the lower left-hand corner, so on that closer side, and having it go off of that right-of-way to that left-hand side, and use that 2 acres to have our own space to build upon.
Okay.
Is there currently a house on 42?
Yeah.
And that's accessed by Smith Lane?
So Smith Lane, a right-of-way goes from Smith Lane over to the property itself.
Gotcha.
And that's where his mom lives.
Yeah.
And this little interesting intersection of boundaries right here, that's, so Smith Lane goes right over that intersection of boundaries?
I believe it goes right to the right of that, and
Yeah, it bends over here.
yeah, and then right where that bend occurs, it kind of the road currently cuts straight right onto that lot 42, and that's right of way, I believe.
It just doesn't show up on the map, but there was a continuation of the driveway.
Yeah.
Okay, and does the deed
Yeah, it
talk about a right of way?
Yeah, it gives a right of way, certain width and a certain length that leads onto the premises.
It's that. That's
So
old,
how many acres was
old.
42?
Pardon?
How many acres was that?
10 acres.
That's 10.
Is it in current use? It's not in current use because she has a house on it.
That's what's available.
Yeah, currently being lived on by the house.
Right, and so, what we talked about, or where I pointed you, at least in emails, was to minor subdivision. Minor subdivision regulations, well, really what we need to go to first is the ordinance, which is gonna guide us here. And this is, okay, so we're really in the same places. So this is our ordinance here, Roman numeral 3, land use is permitted, a residential zone. 1 and 2, 1 is location, has to be within the town, yes. 2 is lot requirements. frontage of 200 feet, lot size 2 acre minimum. And then C, as the date of passage of this amendment, the subdivision of a lot with less than 200 contiguous feet of frontage on an existing state highway or town road shall be permitted subject to the following. So this is the things that you'll be concerning your plan. 50 feet of contiguous frontage on the town road shall be required. So that would need to be determined. And is Smith a town road? Smith is not a town road.
Privately maintained by his name.
Yeah.
So we have no authority over that.
So it's just if they can get a right of way, since it's not a town road, if they can get a right of way from,
Private driveway, as long as there's not more than 2 parcels that serve it. It's still considered a minor, it doesn't need major.
okay. So number one here is moot because it's not on a town road.
Right.
Is any of this applicable then? Because
The 2
C
acres.
is, huh?
The 2 acre minimum.
Yeah,
The 2 acre minimum. But is even being under letter C applicable? Let's see. The subdivision, the subdivision of a lot with less than, it has none on a town road. It has no contiguous frontage, it has less than 200, there's none. So it does apply, I would think, reading this Roman numeral C. Or not Roman numeral C, letter C. This is the correct place to be.
Which it is. It's on Pascomer.
Mhm. Okay. Subdivision of a lot with less than 200 contiguous feet of frontage on a town road shall be permitted subject to the following. Now this is sticky. 50 feet of contiguous frontage shall be required. 2, the subdivision of the lot shall be in accordance with subdivision regulations and planning board approval shall be required. 3, access to the lot shall be provided by a 50-foot right-of-way and shall be approved by the selectmen. That would be an easement that has to be approved by the
Driveway
selectmen.
permit.
Driveway permit.
Right.
With an easement.
yeah.
I think when you do the subdivision, then you grant the easement. So it's part of the deed.
But that parcel
So
has
God
a
forbid it-
deeded easement, so.
That 42, but to
Right.
serve the second lot. Because God forbid if they sold the property to someone else and now the primary owner says, that's my easement, I didn't give you that easement, you can't use it anymore. Shouldn't it be part of the deed that they're purchasing that 2 acre lot, that they have the right to cross to their land?
Yes.
Yeah. You'd want.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
I think that's what your mom did with the neighbors, right? But she has an easement or somehow past like a right of way.
Yeah, but to go through the property, that's the right of way, that's the, we're talking about.
Right of way and easement, kind of using these interchangeably,
Yeah.
but something that states legally in the deed that
You have the right to cross
Passageway
onto your
is-
property.
Right.
legally granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, reading through this is why I wanted to bring it to you guys, 'cause I'm so confused on what's allowed.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Good for us to work through it too. Each lot shall be required to have 200 contiguous feet of frontage on the new right of way. So that would still be required? Yes? Yes? No?
This is an odd.
That's
This is
very
an
odd.
odd one.
It's an odd one. And we may need more time to research this. This again, it's preliminary consultation, so we're
Well,
not
yeah,
making
and
any
you want to
binding
make sure
decisions.
whatever you do. I mean, you know, you're allowed to subdivide your lands or not.
That's right.
Living next to your family, I know all about that. So be careful with that. Just kidding. You just want to make sure your access is right, right, in your deeded access across. So at some point in time, the lot 42 got an easement to access its land. you wanna make sure that a subdivided lot from a subdivision of lot 42, you're able to have an easement to access that. So that's a kind of a legal thing. I would
It
think
is a legal
I would
thing.
think you just want to get a quick counsel on that to make sure that's all right, so that at some point in time you don't have any type of access issues. It's very hard to landlock a piece of property in state of New Hampshire, but you still should talk to counsel about that.
Okay.
I would think so.
I think our discussion should be more like what would the town be requiring, the
Right.
200 feet footage,
Right.
the 50 feet footage.
Yeah, I'm not giving legal advice, so I'm just saying.
No, it's just,
but-
it's just advice.
Yeah, it's just
Just to protect
just
yourself.
looking at it, like if I'm sitting here in you all's shoes, it's a unique situation, this type of access, because
Right.
it's different. You don't see it a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really old lots out there, so you see some of these funky access positions here, you know. But as far as town side, I mean, is this a zoning thing going on
The
here?
driveway.
Yeah, I mean, there's an
Private
existing
driveway.
it's a private driveway with an existing driveway permit. That you have a easement to cross to that lot 42.
Seems
So-
like a lot line.
I would think we need I would think we would want a little clarity on our end, don't you think?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to make a phone call and find out, but I don't think it's a problem. But
Then you said it's on the left-hand side of 42 or the right-hand side of 42? Like, you'll come off the lane and it's right there?
Yeah, so basically from where the road turns, it kind of, bends north
the
and
right?
cuts a little bit west. We'd be cutting straight west off of that portion, so it's the lower left-hand corner
Would you
of that lot.
call it more of a driveway, or
So.
is it gonna be, 200 feet long? Is it gonna be, I don't know.
So their driveway goes up to like a quarter in of that whole property, and then you would go directly left, probably another 400 or 500 feet.
Okay,
So
so
the
it
existing
is,
I mean, it's a
driveway
long
kinda
it's a long
goes-
driveway.
Yeah, and you wanna
Yeah.
save the back of it for future use, obviously.
well,
Yeah.
his mom's living there, his mom's in the
Yeah,
back.
so that doesn't
So
matter.
she wants to subdivide a front lot for them to build.
I mean, it's a
She already has
thousand.
a driveway there,
But she
she's
needs to have
access,
access to that.
but they have to have access.
I mean, it's 1,000 feet from Pascon Road. The lot 42.
So I have more.
Yeah, so it's even more. Yeah, 890, 164.
I guess our
180.
question is, what would the town require of them, just, they're here for preliminary?
I think we need to do a little bit of. I think we need to figure out some clarity on it because it's very unique. I mean, don't you agree?
I think it ends with Wolf. Yes, I agree.
It's these here, right? This is the part of the
Honestly-
ordinance that we would be muddling through, or we are muddling through, but we're,
I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of legal opinion on that.
yeah. Right, cause this part of, shall, right? Town road, frontage on town road shall be required. It's sticky.
We just want to do it right for
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly, so when, again,
so
something, God forbid, happens, they're protected, everybody's protected.
you have an easement across lot 40, and it looks like you're probably going to have an easement across lot 43. Right? I mean, sometimes these maps are not right with.
Right, it's not exact.
Oh.
It's not exact, but that easement do you know if it goes over both of those 40 and 43?
So I'm not sure if the Smith Lane counts as the easement that goes through 40. What that aspect is, the easement I know of goes through 43.
Okay, all right.
So I know that, I'm not sure, it's a private road, Smith Lane there, and we kind of maintain it. But once it shows it turns, goes like a neighbor's house, but
Yeah.
from that point, the road continues, we maintain that.
Mhm.
That's the
Is there a
easement.
house on lot 40?
On lot 40, I believe lot 41, there's one on the corner, but lot 40, I believe just the road itself.
And it crosses these, like 46 and 40, or crosses 47 down here? Or 40, yeah. Smith Lane goes across this stuff down here.
It goes off O'Connor Lane, so where O'Connor Lane runs through, basically branches off from that, goes on to 40.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
It's difficult to tell from the tax map here.
Yeah, 'cause,
We also thought of him being put on the deed, and it says you can have one other structure on the property. I didn't know if we were part of the deed, if we were allowed to do two
You can have
residences.
an accessory dwelling unit, which would be attached, 3 sides of it would have to be attached to the primary dwelling. You couldn't have a second dwelling
Gotcha.
on the property.
Okay, that's just another idea I thought of.
Your second structure could be a barn or a garage, but for living
Not
purposes.
living quarters.
Okay. Another section of the ordinance you can read up on accessory dwelling unit, so that's all laid
Read them
out.
all, it's great reading.
Um, So that's kind of the two general options, right? Subdivision or accessory dwelling unit, as far as putting another place to live, using this property to create another place to live,
Mhm.
my understanding.
And if you're, I mean, this is, the only thing complicated about this is the access, so the subdividing that size
Right,
of a lot
it's-
happens all the time, it's no big deal, it's everyone in that can do it. We just gotta make sure the access is right, so that's why
Yeah.
we need to do a little homework.
Yeah,
It's good, and that's good for you guys,
yeah,
so.
again, is it 50 feet, is it 200 feet, it's not a town road, I don't believe it would be 200 feet, maybe the 50 feet, but that shouldn't be too hard to,
And maybe they need to go to the zoning to get that, just them to give a variance on that requirement, but we don't know that yet, so let's,
Yeah.
you know, I would think we need to do a little research quickly, so this doesn't linger for these guys too
Yes.
long.
Yes,
This bureaucracy is annoying to taxpayers.
yes.
we didn't do away with the legal line, right?
Pardon?
Or did we do away with the legal line, I
No, I
forget,
think we still have it. The line item for the budget,
remember I kinda
Yeah,
like went,
it's still there,
No,
See you
it's,
later.
yeah.
it's there, yes.
maybe either ask Kelly or if you can get his contact information to reach out with this section of the ordinance and just say what are we supposed to require?
Okay.
Actually, he has a copy of the zoning ordinances, so.
Okay,
I would think we'd be able to get a pretty quick answer for these guys.
Yep.
You know, I'd hate to see this get too
Yep.
carried away.
sure.
You've been corresponding through
Yeah.
email?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I think
I
that's
think that would be the
what
only.
we have right
Okay.
now is we'll do some research and get back to you with what the town council has for legality.
Which requirement?
Or what the requirements would be for the right of way to
I'm
make
just, I got to
yourselves
believe it's
protected
50.
to be able to go forward.
Yep.
I got to believe it'd be 50 feet, but.
And then the other option for you to consider to explore is accessory dwelling unit.
Okay.
At least good to read up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be conversations through email and then possibly come back to it next month?
Very likely.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely conversation through email and then very likely next month.
Okay.
Well,
So if they
Yes.
resolve the issue with the right of way, is it a zoning board issue anymore?
That's the only complicated thing,
Yeah.
is the access.
Once the access is
Right.
taken
Mhm.
care of, it might just be a permit, or no? Not sure.
Driveway permit, I think, or, again, let's see what the
That-
lawyer
that's
says.
the- yeah,
They
yeah,
say,
it's,
Let's not say anything until,
Yeah,
the lawyer
it's
says you
unusual.
really need to go this way.
Yeah.
Can we go with that?
right. Well, and then the rest of this does go through. If you have the frontage and you have the access, blah blah blah. You know, number 5. You can have up to 2 dwellings,
Duplex.
and you can build your road without meeting Albany street standards. So you don't have to meet. It's basically a drive. You can do it on driveway level, basically, as opposed to doing an engineered road.
That's all.
Because it's only 2 dwellings for the minor subdivision. Right. So that's the kind of big thing for.
Yeah, that's.
That sounds like what it would be, Sean. A 50-foot right-of-way serves as a driveway for no more than 2 dwellings shall not be required. I can't see that. Oh, in accordance with the street standards.
Yeah.
Sorry.
let's just do a little more, get it right, like, this isn't a, like,
You're not doing this tomorrow?
yeah, I'm doing this tomorrow, so let's just get it right on our end, and then you guys will have a good easement and subdivide the land, and, that you don't have problems down the road.
Agreed.
All right, yes, thank you.
guys for your time.
Yeah.
Do you remember me?
No.
Danielle Vizar's mom.
Oh. There you go,
She was
okay.
the only girl he invited to his 8th birthday party.
That's about it.
Cram or climb the walls.
Good memories.
Mm.
Nice seeing you again.
You too.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you,
Be in
guys.
touch with
Have a
you.
good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. And similar, different, right?
Yeah, very similar.
So, I mean, there's some similarities in that I feel better knowing that there's like a lot of confusion when it's not a straightforward
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
To find the answer on their own is difficult, so I feel good that we don't really know like where we need to be headed, I guess. But so my mother has a piece of property. She has 3 acres on a 17 acre total lot, so there's 14 available. It's right up on Passaconaway Road, so it's lot 30.
30. Oh, okay. I had 29 in the notes.
Yeah, it said 29 in the book that Kelly said too, but it is
Okay.
30.
It is 30. Okay.
And so on the map it says there's 180 feet of frontage, and we have since been told that it's likely 200, but then that 50 kind of threw me off a little
Wait a
bit.
minute. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't,
Yeah.
what, 29 or 30?
It's 30.
And
So
what's
30 looks like the smaller lot.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
different than the one we
geez.
have
Oh,
printed
it's
out.
pointing to the small one. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. It is 29.
Okay,
I
yeah,
apologize, it
29.
is 29.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
14
Xerox
acres?
cut it off. So yes, that's right.
So it's
So
about
lot 29.
14 acres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
29. Alright, that's good. Okay. Oh yes, so 180 feet of frontage according to the map, the tax map here.
It isn't always the case, so.
That's true.
Isn't always the case, and then I think again going back to the zoning ordinance, there's this whole contingency, right? So if you have less than 200 contiguous feet, you have to have 50 feet shall be required. Then subdivide the lot in accordance with the subdivision regulations. And then number 3, a 50-foot right-of-way approved by the select board. Number 4, each lot shall have 200 contiguous feet on the new right-of-way. 5, 50-foot right-of-way which serves as a driveway for no more than 2 dwellings. Doesn't have to be constructed to street standards. And 6, if it's to serve more than 3, which it's not, so the rest of that's moot.
Mm-hmm.
So reading through this, if in fact you do have less than 200, this is the contingency plan for having less than 200 and still being able to proceed with a minor subdivision. So this is the reading of the ordinance, and it's fairly straightforward in this case, I think.
And then, so just so I get it, so so then it's kind of saying 50 feet is okay then, a frontage.
Like, is there something existing there right now?
Yeah. So my mom has a cabin on the property. She lives there year round.
Yeah.
There's a long driveway. It's about 200 yards, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more
I see
complicated.
that picture. Thank you.
So,
Sure, draw it, but yeah.
They had to have a small bridge made to cross a dry brook. And so where we would build the house is just past the bridge. So then I don't know where, what you just said about 2 dwellings made it seem like if we could share a driveway, then that wouldn't be an issue. So yeah, so we're hoping to use that same bridge. Our house would go left, my mom's would be the other, 50 yards that way. That's all we're really trying to do.
Yeah, I think the general thing is if you had 200 or more, you could, then have 2 driveways. If you subdivided it, you could just subdivide it and have the driveway for the original one and put the driveway for the new one over here. But since you have less than 200 feet, you have to share a driveway. It's basically what this is saying.
But that's, I think, what you're saying.
Well, it already
Yeah,
is.
so
It
what's our
already is
favorite
that.
sort of,
Exactly, because
right?
it would be, I mean, if you saw the property, it would just be ridiculous to have a driveway right next to the driveway and build a
Yeah,
bridge
you know,
right next to the
yeah,
bridge.
yeah,
It would just
yeah.
be
So
nonsense.
that's what that
Yeah,
was for, yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's cool.
And then,
We would actually we would rather have less driveways against the town road. That's why it's written like that. So we'd rather have one to service,
Two houses.
Two houses, yeah.
so that's all amazing news. The thing that Kelly Collins had brought up to me, that made a lot of sense was, and we have, who knows what happens in 10 years, 20 years, but my mom is likely gonna be in that house till the end. But how does that work with sharing a driveway and having the bridge to, plow, and who, you know what I mean? Like, if we decided to move in 10 years, how does that leave my mom with a new person, or does that,
I wouldn't bring up issue, non-issue.
good point.
Well,
Like,
I think similar to the previous discussion, you would want a legal right-of-way written into the deed, going to the Carroll County Registry of Deeds, because really what you're doing when you're subdividing, you're taking one bounded and measured property and splitting it into two, and each of those needs to have legal access, and if it doesn't, then down the road someone could end up in a really bad position with their property.
Right, so when you do your survey, they're gonna list on there the easement that's granted to you from your mother, and it's gonna be noted in the deed with all the locations and whatnot, so that's the legal right to access that property, so it wouldn't be allowed anywhere else, so, and so, who does the plowing, well,
That's
why the neighbors fight, right? That's not our problem.
yeah. Since it's not a town road, it's totally private.
Yeah,
It's
so
up
that's,
to the two private property owners to work that out.
Right.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we don't foresee it being a problem at all, it was just brought to our attention, so I just figured
yeah.
Yeah.
bring it to you guys.
But it's part of the survey process, and then location of new property lines and deeded access. That's all part of the legal stuff that will go in the Mylar that gets submitted to the state, to the county,
Okay,
the registry of deeds. That's part of your whole survey process that you'll go through
okay.
with your licensed land surveyor, so.
Cool.
So this one's looking much more straightforward, and
Wow.
I think the stepwise process is basically a survey, right? Get a survey and then get legal counsel for creating an easement for the proposed new property.
And that might even go with the survey.
Might go with the survey company might do that.
Yeah, usually the survey company will do the survey, and they'll take the coordinates and give it to the company that prepares the deed, and they'll put it in there and put all the new coordinates in with the language of access. So.
Okay,
And so when you have that, then you would be completing and submitting the minor subdivision application and coming back here for the process of going through minor subdivision.
Okay.
Which, if all the ducks are in a row, then we just say check, 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 and stamp and go. That's how that works, basically.
and since we don't own the land yet, does the survey have to be through my mom, the landowner, or?
I don't think it
No.
matters.
I think a surveyor will take money from, right?
Yeah, usually
You have to get permission of the landowner to
She,
go
yeah,
there.
I mean,
Got it, okay.
maybe to come on her land, she might have to get permission, but I think that's
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, usually when you do something like what I've ever done, this thing personally, is you pay to have all the survey done. Once the survey's all done, you go and get approval, and then you pay for the lot.
Even before you're on
So
the
it's
lot.
kind of your own
Okay.
risk.
Before-
Yeah, usually, right? Because you're not going to, if you're not able to do it on the town side, then you're not going to obviously buy it. So you got to do the
Right.
survey and do all that,
Yeah, you
and
can
then
do some
come.
survey and
Yeah.
mind dealing
So-
with that.
But it's very straightforward. You got the size of the lot. Says you can do it. So.
That's great.
Yes.
And again, just because I'm so surprised to even be hearing this, if there wasn't, my mom didn't have her cabin on the property, and there wasn't 2 feet of frontage, what do you do with that much land? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the frontage, but you have 14 acres of land beyond the street, what's,
They can apply for variance or whatever, and work it out, right?
And
I think as long as you have 50 feet according to this,
Mhm.
you could move forward with building and subdividing. If you didn't have 50 feet, then it would be seeking a variance with
I
the
also
zoning.
think it might be
board.
grandfathered for,
Alright,
Oh,
if the
could
lot
be
is
grandfathered.
existing, though, and if it was 180, it's existing.
Yeah.
You can't get any more.
Yeah.
But if they were creating a subdivision, then they would have to create the 200
Right.
if it was on a town road.
Yeah,
It is
not an
good.
issue.
It's
I'm
all
just
worked out
curious,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes,
basically,
please, no, our brains wanna keep working at 7:40.
so basically we have kind of our next steps, right? So,
A survey, basically.
Yeah, so-
Yeah.
thank you so much
Yes.
for the,
Yeah.
for hearing us
That's
out and
very
the help.
surprising.
Yeah, cool.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Best
well,
of luck.
hopefully we'll
Yes.
see you next month.
All those surveys,
Right?
because they're really busy, so get on their
Okay.
schedule.
Okay,
Cool.
will do.
Well, thanks for squeezing us in.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
for
Great to
sure.
meet you. Yes,
All
best
right.
of
Great
luck.
night.
Yeah,
All right,
good
see
night.
y'all. Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
Right.
Take care.
Thank you.
Here.
Alright. Thank you, everybody. So just minutes from last month?
I make a motion to approve them as is.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain,
Okay.
Gotta show up to do it well.
yeah, well,
No, it's
we're
good.
busy.
It's alright, you get a pass.
Thanks. 3 months, no, 2 months.
Select board report.
Town meeting, budget passed without discussion, everything went through, it's, gonna be a good year.
Okay. Alright, I have no other business right now. Anyone, anything else?
I do.
Business? Yes.
So, whenever we're at the planning board, we should all pretty much know what a lot of record means. And a lot of record means that a parcel was in place prior to our zoning ordinances. It's recorded at the registry of deeds. If that's the case, whether that parcel is 2 acres or less, it's a buildable lot. It was established before ordinances came into place. As long as a lot of record can comply with our current ordinances, meaning setback and DES requirements, they can build whatever they want on their property. And again, as long as they're in compliance. We had someone come in who was very upset that saying his neighbor was not on a lot of record and should not be able to build. And I just want to let everybody know that, you know, we just need to be conscious of
Yeah.
everything, all the ordinances. I said my piece, I'm done.
What year was the zoning established? Do we have-
1982?
82 and that,
So that is gonna be a lot of
A lot
lots.
of lots.
Yeah, so that's a good,
Adopted in 1982.
so that's good info.
So that is a lot of lots. There's a lot of landlocked lots like that. There's one down the street that was like 0.3 acres. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you have access to that lot and you comply with the setbacks and the ordinances as they stand, along with the state regulations, you can do what you want on that.
The 2 acre is
With the
for,
sep-
The
with
2
the
acres
septic-
is
is
from-
for new
For new lots, the
Septic.
subdivision.
With an approved septic.
Septic's gonna go through the state,
Yeah.
all their regulations. If the state's approving it,
Then
they can build. They
really,
can- they
that's
can-
really not our gig, it's a state
It's-
approval, so.
right. We're the rubber stamp on
Yeah.
septic systems.
Which is great, that's how they want it. Right, Peter?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I had one that didn't, they weren't sure if they had the state septic. They called me, I said, as long as you got the number. I don't know if they ever came back.
It's all online now.
But there was someone building on a new lot. and
It's not a new lot, is that what you're
Oh.
asking?
Well, the neighbor that was upset,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a new lot, it was a lot of record
It was a
then?
lot of
Gotcha,
record.
yeah, so.
Yep.
it-
Yep.
he can be upset, but he doesn't have any right to stop it,
No.
right?
Yeah, and in theory, we really shouldn't run into this much as far as, I mean, cause new lots shouldn't be approved under
That's
that,
right.
that way, so
Just
we
as
should.
we just went through with the 2 acre
Right,
minimum.
so we should,
It's just gonna be,
we just need to be mindful
Here and
of
there.
that.
Mhm.
That's good info,
just wanted to bring it forth.
yeah. Thank you.
Alright, no other business?
No. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned at 7:45.
Here we go.